नाज़रीन आदाब। Today's couplet। तेरे वादे पर जिए हम तो ये जान झूठ जाना, तेरे वादे पर जिए हम, that we lived on your promise, know that we knew it was false। तेरे वादे पर जिए हम तो ये जान झूठ जाना कि खुशी से मर न जाते अगर एतबार होता। That would we not have died of happiness if we had believed it to be true। So एक तो इसका मतलब वही है जो माशूक़ मजाजी महबूब मजाजी के लिए इस्तेमाल किया गया है, about the person that you are in love with। It has two other meanings। One of the meanings is for the government, the powers that exist on top of you. So we know that all the promises the government makes are false. If they were true, if what the political leaders promise you in today's world before elections, if we didn't know that they're really false, wouldn't we die of happiness when they gain power? We all know that they're false. It's also about God. It's about religion. If we really believed all the promises of heaven that gods make to their followers, we should ideally die of happiness, because then we'll get to the heaven. But obviously we don't believe those promises to be true. So that's that. And that brings us to what we left halfway. We were talking about the business that's going to continue being lucrative in post-COVID life, the Baba business, or the spirituality business, the spiritualism business. We have talked about Hinduism. There are sufficient and more Babas, despite the fact that if you actually look deeply into Hinduism, you'll find that, as I had shared earlier, that Vedas have multiple parts to them. Each of the Veda has got multiple parts, and the Upanishads, the most philosophical part, is the one that the most evolved people actually read and try to understand. But then not everyone really even reaches the first level. People don't even reach the basic level where rituals are kings. People actually just believe in following some Baba, whatever they say. And we also discussed Islam. We also discussed how, despite the fact that Quran begins with the word Iqra, as in the first word was of Wahi was supposed to be Iqra, which is read. We hardly any Muslims actually try and read the Quran and understand what it says. They would just mug it up maybe, or just listen to what Babas tell them. And therein lies the problem. And this is not just Muslim. You also find that in Christianity. You have heard about sufficient number of cults, Christian cults, which actually have resulted into big problems for the followers of those cults. और आपने ये देख लिया जिस तरह के तबलीग जमात के बाबा मौलाना साद ने जिस तरह मुसीबत में डाला है तबलीगियों को भी और नॉन तबलीगियों को भी, मुस्लिम्स को भी और नॉन मुस्लिम्स को भी, सबको. सो बाबा बिजनेस इज़ बिग. इट विल ऑलवेज रिमेन अ बिग बिजनेस. इसी तरह जो जिंगोइस्ट बाबा होते हैं, लाइक अर्नब गोस्वामी, these people who really want to show that they are more deshbhakt than you are, they try and get sufficient following behind them. Many of them also get into politics and get senior positions. This same thing is also true in sports, in economics, in films, in even in science. In science, you find Neil deGrasse Tyson is a sort of a Baba today, where anyone who tries to live by science, he holds on to every word that he says, and so on and so forth. All this is probably because, as Harari says, that we probably live by stories, and stories are best told. They are not best read. So that is why probably spiritualism will always remain big business. Consider that as a possible career option. We've already said that large corporations are unlikely to keep armies of employees, so there won't be too many big corporation jobs which pay well. MSMEs will find it tough to both sustain themselves and keep giving jobs, so you can't trust them either. So I think non-leveraged entrepreneurship, that is not taking too much of loans and stuff, plus self-employment, that is probably the way forward, because debt, access and servicing are both likely to be a problem in the next 5 years, maybe even 10 years. The prices of property will go down, they'll remain down for 5 to 10 years. Computers, electronics, remote working stuff, artificial intelligence, robotics, those are the ways to go. They will do well. I keep repeating some of these things because I'm pretty sure nobody is going to sit down and listen to all my rants. So therefore, important stuff I repeat. Also because I haven't noted down the points all at the same time, so I tend to forget and repeat them. Hospitality, tourism, travel is gone for good for like maybe almost 10 years. They wouldn't see the kind of growth and confidence that they were showing just before this problem hit. Essentially, for whatever I'm sharing here, you can say that 10 years is sort of the forever time frame, because whenever I say something forever, because I don't think I can or anyone can see beyond 10 years what can happen. Even 10 years is very difficult to predict ahead. So forever is like 10 years. Luxury products and services will be gone for 5 to 10 years. It will be a tough time for banking. Mega events, mega entertainment, again gone for good. Automotives gone for good. This last month, that's April, Maruti sold 0 vehicles, of course, because we were under lockdown. Oil went into negative territory, and people are now signing contracts which specifically protect them from the prices going negative. So that's again the other thing which is happening. Metals, hydrocarbons generally, and logistics is probably not going to show that kind of growth that it was showing earlier for at least 5 years. Food production, distribution, processing will be up. Non-food, textile, etc., retail and wholesale will be down for 3 to 5 years, I think. Drug and pharma will be up. Adapt adaptive minds and cultures will win, and those who are stick in the mud, they will really suffer. So since Muslims are the least adaptive people anywhere, they're going to suffer and suffer badly. Part of it is that Muslims don't follow the fundamental precepts of Islam. As we shared earlier, as we talked about the fact that Iqra was the first word, despite that people don't read Quran, they don't try to understand it, they don't try to reflect upon it. All they're interested in is mugging up and listening to stories by people with beards. Most of all, since they don't read history, they don't understand that Taqleed जो है जो कि आज मेन स्ट्रीम या कहें कि ओनली अवेलेबल इस्लाम टुडे इज़ तकलीद वाला इस्लाम. तकलीद मतलब फॉलोअरशिप, मतलब you just follow whatever somebody in a large beard tells you that the originators of Islam were following, that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sahaba Karam, his companions, were following. So they think that Taqleed is the only possible interpretation of Islam. They forget that actual Islam is the exact opposite of Taqleed. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have followed in the paths of his elders and wouldn't have accepted / claimed prophethood if he hadn't thought with his own mind. If he was just doing Taqleed, he would have kept on doing what his elders were doing, right? Which is kufr. So they would have continued that same way. The real sunnah is Ijtehad, is using your brain, but people don't do that. So the non-Taqleed Islam has been dead for 600 years at least, maybe more. So today, followers of Islam, even the educated people, are essentially illiterate because they insist on doing blind followership. And this is going to make life very, 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 very tough for Muslims generally, not just the Taqleed Muslims, but even the other ones, even those who are essentially atheist, but they carry Muslim names, or they were born in Muslim households. So considering that we, at least in India, cannot live outside of our ecosystem of relatives and so forth, they are stuck in that ecosystem. So it's going to hurt them as well. Quick, dynamic decision making is going to be important. As I said earlier, ecological work might get a fillip. It should, because at some point people will start thinking about some of these things. See, we got screwed in this because one of the reasons was that we've been overusing and abusing the earth, right? If we weren't doing that, this crisis couldn't have been so big. Another thing which people are going to realize is that this model of private hospitals and all kinds of insurance, medical insurance, all that is bullshit. Because you see today what is happening in India. All private hospitals have essentially shut down. They have downed their shutters. They don't want any kind of a risk to their name or to themselves, and it's the poor government hospital people who are working day and night for all of us. So I hope that people will wake up and realize that pandemics can hit any time, we are so many. We are just ripe for pandemics. Yeah, it's a bit like we live in a sort of a poultry farm. So it, the if a pandemic hits you, you don't have any escape really. So you really need the a lot more investment in government hospitals, and essentially this model of hospitals and healthcare for the rich has to be upended. It has to be made to stand on its head, and healthcare has to be available for everyone. Private hospitals won't work, insurances won't work. What will happen when a pandemic hits? Nothing. Insurance is so completely useless, because if the whole wide world is suffering, then it's force majeure. The insurance company is not going to pay you anything, and even if they want to pay you something, they'll have no money to pay, right? And if they actually intend to pay, even then the amount of money they will take in order to give you an insurance is going to be too high. So the only way to go is public medicine, government hospitals. What else? I have already shared that everyone will have to function like an entrepreneur. Everyone will have to take ownership. No more hiding behind saying this is not my job. Takers, selfish people are likely to have it bad. So all these things are going to be trend, and they're going to be forgotten. So I'm only talking about like with a 10 years horizon, because after 10 years people will forget all this, and they will then move on to anything which is convenient to them that time. Hospitality, as we have said, is a route all around. Private hospitals we have discussed. Construction will be down for maybe like 5 years. All the builders will be busy selling their inventory to people who have cash, and very few people will have if this continues and doesn't end soon. No cinemas. Malls are likely to become less and less important. Local transport will probably increase in importance, because people will eschew crowded buses and trains and metros. And again, how much of private transport can you have? There's not so much of roads and stuff. Maybe people will move to the hinterland. They will move to villages, to undeveloped areas where they can have larger plots and work remotely from there if they can. Probably we will see a satellite based net or something in future. I don't know to what extent that will be useful, because the distance is too much. Or maybe some kind of net highways will be made passing through the hinterland, so that people can actually buy land around those places and work from home there. Maybe manufacturing will shift to such places. Who knows? Big cities don't seem to be having very good future, very bright future for the next 10 years. High-end restaurants, IPL like events will be down. Long distance video or computer based education will go up. We've already talked about that. Mobile app writers will have a good future. And let's see if I can try and finish this today. Apart from home education, home-based entertainment and home-based fitness will be important. We'll have to stop here because the next topic is going to take time, and I don't think I can finish it in the time that I have available now. So nice talking to you again. Bye bye.